The extreme north of the Canadian tundra is an unforgiving place. It is a world governed by ice, blinding blizzards, and months of endless darkness. Survival in this desolate landscape leaves absolutely no room for error. The Inuit people who lived along the shores of Anjikuni Lake in the Nunavut territory knew this better than anyone. They were seasoned experts of the cold, thriving in an environment that would kill most outsiders in hours. They knew how to hunt, how to build shelter, and, most importantly, how to never underestimate the freezing death that surrounded them. Yet in the brutal winter of 1930, the impossible happened. An entire village of 30 men, women, and children didn't freeze. They didn't migrate. They simply ceased to exist, leaving behind a mystery that continues to baffle historians and investigators to this day. The terrifying discovery was made in November of 1930 by Joe Labelle, a seasoned fur trapper who was highly experienced in navigating the Arctic wastes. Labelle was trudging through a severe snowstorm, exhausted, freezing, and desperate for shelter. He was familiar with the area and knew of an Inuit settlement near Anjikuni Lake. In the past, he had visited this village and was always met with warm fires, hot food, and the legendary hospitality of the locals. As the sun began to set, casting long, eerie shadows across the ice, Labelle finally spotted the silhouettes of the caribou skin tents and wooden huts. Relieved, he called out a greeting into the freezing wind, but there was no answer. He expected the village dogs to bark, or children to run out, or hunters to emerge. Instead, he was met with total, suffocating silence. The village was entirely dead. Thinking the villagers might be sheltering inside from the cold, Labelle approached the first tent. He pushed aside the heavy animal skin flap and stepped inside. What he saw made his blood run cold. Hanging over a smoldering fire pit was a cast-iron pot filled with caribou stew. The bottom of the stew was burnt black. Whoever had been cooking had abruptly abandoned their meal right in the middle of preparing it. Labelle quickly moved to the next hut, and then the next. Every single dwelling was empty. But it wasn't an organized departure. The villagers had left behind their most vital possessions. Labelle found highly crafted winter parkas made of seal and caribou skin tossed casually on the floor. In the Arctic, leaving your shelter without a parka is instant suicide. Even more chilling, he found the hunters' rifles leaning against the walls of the huts. No Inuit hunter would ever leave their weapon behind. To leave both warmth and protection meant they did not plan to go anywhere. They had been taken. Panic began to set in as Labelle searched the perimeter of the camp. The snow was fresh, yet there was not a single footprint leading away from the village. 30 people had vanished into thin air without disturbing the snow around their homes. Terrified of what might be lurking in the dark, Labelle refused to stay in the camp. He ran through the freezing, pitch-black night for hours until he reached a telegraph office to alert the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. When the Mounties arrived days later, the investigation turned from a strange disappearance into a scene of absolute horror. On the edges of the camp, buried under deep snowdrifts, the Mounties found the village's sled dogs. The dogs had not run away. They had been deliberately tied to the trees and left to starve to death, despite the fact that there were massive caches of untouched food sitting inside the village. But the most horrifying discovery was found at the ancestral burial ground. The Mounties realized that the ancient graves had been violently dug up. The frozen earth, which is as hard as solid iron in November, had been shattered. The heavy stones marking the graves were neatly stacked to the side, and the corpses of the ancestors were missing. No animal could have done this. As the Mounties expanded their search, they interviewed Armand Lauren, a trapper who had been camping miles away with his 2 sons on the night the village vanished. Lauren reported seeing something completely unnatural. He described a massive, glowing, pulsing blue light hovering in the dark sky. He insisted it was not the aurora borealis. It was a defined, geometric object moving steadily against the wind, heading directly toward Anjikuni Lake, before it faded into the blackness of the night. To this day, the Anjikuni Lake incident remains completely unsolved. No bodies of the villagers were ever found. No survivors ever emerged, and no explanation has ever accounted for the starving dogs, the empty graves, and the missing rifles. Whatever looked down upon that village from the winter sky took everything with it, leaving only a ghost.
The vanishing of the Anjikuni Lake village was a solitary anomaly, the frozen wilderness has another terrifying story to tell. Fast forward from the 1930s to the winter of 1959. The location changes from the Canadian tundra to the brutal, unforgiving peaks of the northern Ural Mountains in the Soviet Union. But the chilling hallmarks of the mystery remain exactly the same. Freezing temperatures, a sudden, inexplicable panic, an abandoned camp, winter gear left behind, and a dark fate that defies all logical explanation. This is the legendary mystery of the Dyatlov Pass. In late January of 1959, a group of 9 highly experienced hikers and skiers set out on a grueling expedition to reach the mountain of Otorten, a name that translates ominously in the local indigenous language to "Don't go there." The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a brilliant engineering student known for his survival skills and level-headed nature. These were not amateurs. They were hardened adventurers who knew exactly how to survive in sub-zero temperatures. They carried the right gear, they knew the terrain, and they understood the lethal danger of the extreme cold. Yet, something in the dark of the mountains would break them. By February 1st, the group had reached the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, translated chillingly as Dead Mountain. As a severe blizzard began to roll in, drastically dropping the temperature to minus 30 degrees Celsius, Dyatlov made the decision to set up camp on the exposed slope of the mountain, rather than retreating to the tree line below. It was a calculated risk, but one they were prepared for. They pitched their large canvas tent, ate a meal, and settled in for the night to wait out the storm. What happened in the hours that followed remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. When the group failed to send a telegram announcing their safe return weeks later, a massive search and rescue operation was launched. The military and local guides scoured the frozen landscape. Finally, on February 26th, the searchers found the campsite. But what they discovered made absolutely no sense. The tent was half torn down and completely covered in snow. When the searchers brushed the snow away, they made a terrifying discovery. The tent had not been ripped open from the outside by a bear or a sudden avalanche. It had been violently slashed open from the inside. Whoever was inside was in such a state of absolute blind panic that they couldn't even bother to untie the entrance. They cut their way out of the heavy canvas to escape into the blinding, freezing darkness. But escape from what? When the searchers looked inside the ruined tent, the mystery deepened into pure horror. All of the group's cold weather gear, their heavy winter coats, their thick boots, their survival tools, and their food was left neatly inside. Just like the missing villagers of Angikuni Lake, these seasoned survivalists had fled into the deadly, sub-zero night without their boots or parkas. In the deep snow surrounding the tent, investigators found footprints belonging to all 9 members of the group. Some were wearing only socks, some had a single shoe, and others were completely barefoot. The footprints didn't show signs of a struggle. They didn't show people running in chaotic, random directions. Instead, the tracks showed the group walking methodically, almost in a trance-like state, down the slope toward the dark tree line nearly a mile away. Why would 9 experts deliberately walk to their deaths in the freezing snow, leaving their only means of survival behind in a perfectly intact tent? As investigators followed the tracks to the edge of the forest, they found the remains of a small, desperate fire beneath a massive cedar tree. Nearby, the first bodies were discovered. They were frozen solid, dressed only in their underwear. The branches of the cedar tree were broken up to 15 feet high, suggesting that someone had frantically climbed the tree, either to look for the rest of their group or to escape from something stalking them on the ground. Over the next few months, as the snow melted, the remaining bodies were found deep in a ravine. This is where the story shifts from a tragic freezing incident into the realm of the unexplained. While the first hikers had died of severe hypothermia, the ones in the ravine had suffered massive, inexplicable physical trauma. One had a skull fracture so severe it was completely shattered. 2 others had major chest fractures, with the force required to break their ribs compared to the impact of a high-speed car crash. Yet, chillingly, there were no external wounds, no scratches, and no bruises. It was as if their bodies had been crushed by an immense, invisible pressure. Furthermore, some of the bodies were missing their eyes, and one was missing her tongue. To add another layer to this chilling puzzle, pieces of the hikers' clothing were found to contain high levels of radioactive contamination. And just like the strange blue light seen above Anjikuni Lake, another group of hikers camping 50 miles away from the Dyatlov group reported seeing massive, glowing orange spheres floating silently in the night sky on the exact night the tragedy occurred. The Soviet investigators abruptly closed the case shortly after, sealing the files in a secret archive. The official cause of death was listed merely as an unknown compelling force. To this day, no one knows what forced 9 experts to cut themselves out of their tent and walk calmly into the freezing abyss. Was it a secret military weapons test? A strange weather anomaly? Or is there something ancient and hostile that lives in the frozen, dark places of the world? Something that occasionally reaches out to take those who wander too far from the fire. As you sit in the warmth of your home tonight, remember the village of Anjikuni and the hikers of Dead Mountain. The snow covers all tracks, and the cold keeps it